ensema etwagu na yebe pense mu ama atiefo yensema no yenko ensem no emu
to Constitution article 146 clause 6 no eso ni nyina emra ne ma ne ho kwan pefe esese omampanin saka tumikrata anaso omampanin saka krata bi kire Chief Justice oti edwaso eniema bi nkoyi eniema bi ntwai a se wo so edema Council of State na Council of State nso ehwehwema no mu se ensuo bi wom enyinaso bi wom pa na eni omampanin esese wo pa committee na committee ne tena se adwuma hwe se Chief Justice ye pamono anansa wontina se na onye n'adwuma eno ena bra committee efi o madwuma se Justice Gabriel's Court ya poama committee ni titire ni din ena ya de toso eni ti sa committee n'adwuma no nkakra ena omu efi ase committee n'adwuma no mo efi ase Chief Justice ababontie di kan kra etro krata ebeka che Ghana fo nyina ese ni edikan bebia ye sa adwuma ne kra no ohun ni se enkoyie committee ni bebe yede ama won kokotena no wo se okọ ho a ya tututuo kakra ewo ho enti ya de a ekakai ni tete no ekakai ni niam bia ense ne mfata eno achi kura se ho suspended Chief Justice okoduru ho a ase ebo ni search ase mema bia ebo ni search no obi pese ode ne nse ewura ba bia ense na emfata eno achi ose ne lawyer enema bi wo esese ye ma ne lawyer kwan na ne lawyer ye no kra ye ma no sa akwanya no ose ni kunu ye ma kwan ese ni kunu na se busuani bi mpo eni nachi na asam ni bi pem na anka ya krokro no nkakra ewo eho eno ene nsema Chief Justice odi kan edi release ba bonten ebebo Ghana fo amane ase Ghana fo ankenkan Ghana fo antie eno achi kra eno san be ye press conference ebebo mu che Ghana fo nyina se wedie mekasa obechechie mu pa edi che Ghana fo ena Chief Justice ankasa akọ Ecowas Court of Justice akọ ese yetietia ne fa ahodie so na ne fa ahodie so na yetietia no emra wo ho pa Angel Kasi abwawram Ecowas Court of Justice no atemwafo a ete so ewo ho ne tie de oye PM panin pa wo ho tetitire ni ewo ho Justice Honorable Justice Ricardo Claudia Montero a wono efi Kevet Vice President Justice Senyo Mohammed Koroma wono so efi Sierra Leone ena ya Ghana ni dehye pa Justice Edward Amwakon Asante na anu ya otwe Ecowas Court ni nyina eba manga na mu ha ena de otosu bio oye member Justice Watara wono efi Cote d'Ivoire ene ye Justice Dub Atipo wono so efi Nigeria na sansem we gise enya lawyer ni mapa wono ene betimi a kire ye mu pa mayate asese ne Chief Justice ne kwanso anu no anase afomu mran ewo baby private legal practitioner Gomda Abdul Aziz wono ene ye ne eba besua de ewo emra we hu kansa ma mu adwo emu akwaba mi se baabi awo no eno anu no anamo Chief Justice suspended Chief Justice watui mamini kan bisa se ye ne Ghana fo e bisa se usomu sen eno anu no
mi jiwo so me se mi chia ukifo ni na mtio amajiwe mchiomo ni na okay bacha ukinika
kansa bacha odem metio nkapa.
Okay. Well, as it stands here, the extent of the information here in terms of Chief Justice case our file on Ecowas now is only limited to what the Deputy Attorney General, Honorable Dr. Justice Shamsai, I just share my public because I don't think we have records or copies of the contents of Adia on our Chief Justice Nasari or suspended Chief Justice no. Actually in the court. And if you look at information the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice and Deputy Attorney General shared with the public, basically, or share say, Chief Justice needs challenging the legality of the suspension law, which from where limits now is a constitutional matter. And that the Ecowas Court no almost jurisdiction to entertain and hear matters of human rights violations. For now, we need to share the exact nature of Chief Justice case because those matters have not been made public yet. But relying on the information Deputy Attorney General has shared to the public. I understand we say or challenging the legality of the suspension and the power to suspend the Chief Justice. The Afema Constitution has provided for and has provided the procedure by which president who has the power to suspend the Chief Justice, who is a subject of a removal proceeding. So the procedural requirements are laid down clearly in the Constitution. And the question you ask yourself is challenging the legality of the suspension as provided under Article 146 of the Constitution, to which the President of Ghana has the power to bring. Is that challenge to be done within our local courts or within a community court like Ecowas court? And as mentioned earlier, Ecowas court, in addition to some other judicial law, they have the power to determine human rights violation. Is this issue a human rights violation? It is based on what the Deputy Attorney General has shared with the public. I don't think it's a human rights violation. And if it is not a human rights violation and it's an issue challenging the constitutional authority, clearly, every court by its establishment is regulated by a law. And Ecowas court, the jurisdiction is established by the Ecowas Treaty and accompanying protocols, which confers its jurisdiction. And jurisdiction is basically the power of a court to determine certain matters. And the law, manu and confer a particular power in the court to determine a matter. The court cannot go into that matter.
Okay.
And if you look at the jurisdiction conferred by the Ecowas Treaty and the accompanying protocols that establish the Ecowas Court of Justice, determining the validity of constitutional injunctions and constitutional powers of domestic, domestic in nature or national sovereign countries is not part of our jurisdiction. So Ecowas Court is to determine whether the President of Ghana has exercised his power under Article 146 correctly or otherwise. Common power. The only power they might have as it relates to the individual is where there are allegations of violations of human rights.
Council Minchawano ba oshe the Deputy Attorney General Justice Msai eposti yana part ni bi kasa ese suspended Chief Justice etrese yetieti anefa ahudie so human right na yanhwe ne said ye wo kan aganafo etie wi nyina no se eyampa se yetieti anefa ahudie so na Ecowas court ewo jurisdiction ebetimi affect ye o betimi akase da bi mu tietia ma me ne fa ahudie so ntinu munyai na wo metena se nya na adwuma bibisa betimi asi.
Okay, this on general human rights violation. Of course, the Ecowas court, community court has the jurisdiction, and even in our within our domestic setting as Ghana, not every matter borders on human rights. Not every allegation of constitutional violation constitutes human rights violation. And like I said, we have not had the benefit of the content of the application or the process of filing was on the Ecowas court. As relying on what the Deputy Attorney General can. He is basically, and if I may, I think what the Deputy Attorney General said was that, I'm quoting the Deputy Attorney General, but essentially, the leadership agreed that by a suspension, she, another court, has effectively been removed from her official capacity without a final determination, impairing her right to function and serve in a position she was constitutionally appointed to. And right now, make reference to it's a right created under Article 146, or it's a right created under the Constitution which confers powers on her. Then, 146 can also govern the president's power to suspend a chief who is subject to this removal proceedings. Please remember. Now, sit down. Make it very clear to you that
Council wadaruma onna no kakra bi ma yɛ sɛ anoma bi twetwetwa wa homa anima nti mu nhyɛda enkoyi
no
kasa menhwɛ
Yeah, okay, now.
Me pa cha fe odem, wadaroma odem TNT.
The point I was making was that, yes, the paper court has jurisdiction in the human rights violation. But if you look at the nature of the plan, okay, before the was completed by the Deputy President, my view is that the Ecowas Community Court only needs decision in the matter because it borders on challenging the authority of the president to suspend her. And the Ecowas Community Court doesn't have jurisdiction to determine whether our president has complied with the constitution or not. Only has jurisdiction. It's a sovereign matter for which our courts have jurisdiction to determine on such matters. And the court in Ghana, for the purpose of determining whether the constitution has been complied with or not, is the Supreme Court. And clearly, Chief Justice is currently before the Supreme Court, challenging her suspension, challenging the removal and all those things. And I am very convinced that the Supreme Court is competent enough to make that determination. And I know she has supervised or she has presided over the Supreme Court for some time. And I'm very convinced she is so aware that the Supreme Court is competent. But on challenging whether the suspension is valid or not, and impairing her from functioning as a Chief Justice, I'm sorry to say that based on my review and understanding of the rules and the laws are establishing on manner establishing Ecowas Torkonoo, I'll be surprised to hear that they have entertained that matter. Clearly, I expect them to say that, well, if you are complaining of human rights violations, they are here to hear you out. But if you are challenging your suspension, unfortunately, I don't think the law that established that Ecowas Community Court gives them the power to make inquiries into the legality or otherwise of the suspension by the president for which he's complaining about.
Okay, as a council meti asie here, eniema mienu na waka a yate asie. Ne edi kan ni se Chief Justice kwani de wako. Sese a Deputy Attorney General aka say de na se okọ. Na emom so okọ se onti asie ekwan a ye fa so eyi ne to akonwa ayeye ne mu hwehwemu a ende Ecowas court ne betimi aka chenze ma me anse wayera kwan wafom kwan na emom okọ no okoka se ebia ye tietia me fa ahodie so ayebeka se ne human right ena ye trampled upon dia ene omo betie na asem no na omo tie die wo mu potinti a ye tete na se ye tietia ne fa ahodie so sa bebepe na pese ye tie ase
exactly no
na ebetimi abase ne fa ahodie na o ka se ye tietia so no ombehwem etie na asem awie na ma confirm se ane ye tie ma me ni nkurobo nyina awie a ye hunu se Ghana ban ene Ghana fo nyina mu tete ntinia mu ye no munyai eno emra ne ma ho kwan na omu make ne pronouncement a ebetimi abase esese ye sesa bibi ana ye bibi mana saa ne fa ahodie na ye bubu so no ye bejai.
Is in respect of the human rights violation?
Yes, in respect of the human rights violation.
Yes, in respect of human rights violations, the Ecowas Court has the power to make those determinations. And there's something very interesting about the Ecowas Court. Unlike other international courts, and even in Africa, there's a court known as the African Court for Human and People Rights. In those courts, there's a pending human rights case within your local jurisdiction. The court would not entertain your matter, even if it's human rights violation. But for Ecowas Court, that one, at least based on the decisions in the past and also the law that established the court. Even if there's a pending human rights case, the court will still entertain you. So for Ecowas Court, yes, they can look into the matter and make the determination if it is about human rights. But at the end of the day, if they make the decision, enforcement becomes another issue because it becomes a state interstate relational issues, because at the end of the day, any individual know that would ensure compliance and enforcement of the judgment. It is the institution of Ecowas and its member states. And there's always that political question that, yes, if you have a judgment and the state for which the judgment is won against refuses to comply, what is the way forward? But of course, it depends on Ghana's own reputation under the international community. And we live in an era where we want an international community that respects international law. And I am very confident that Ghana for the past years has demonstrated that they are leaders in Africa in ensuring rule of law. So if they make a determination, and that determination is to the effect that the government has focused in some way, I'm sure through the appropriate agencies, we can ensure compliance with what happens.
Right. Council ma yen na wasepa na yen fa osi a obre na wada adwawenya e dia ma yesua ade e wo nchen. Private legal practitioner Gomda Abdul Aziz lawyer ni ma papa wono ene Chief Justice edi oman Ghana oman nyina enyo mampani o we Ghana or the Ghana ena akopiem ewo Ecowas Court of Justice osi etieti anefa ahodie so we ni nsema Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice Srimsai wabe posti ewo ni Facebook ni edi ho nkomo nti niema mienu ena obetimi dia court na baako ena ode kwa ene Ecowas Court ni betia ne ebetie ni yie pa etimi dia anu yaba enne se Ghana fo nyina